Maxton Hall Season 2 has finally dropped, and once again, Ruby and James are trapped in their push-and-pull love story. One moment they're drawn to each other like magnets, and the next, they're worlds apart. Even at the end of episode 3, just when James poured his heart out in that beautiful speech and Ruby finally saw the real him again, they were seconds away from reconnecting, until Mortimer walked in, at the worst possible moment, and ruined everything. So, will Ruby and James ever find their way back to each other? And what exactly is waiting for us in episode 4? Stay with me till the end, because I'll break down everything that's coming next. And don't forget to subscribe, because I'll be covering all the upcoming Maxton Hall drama right here. Before diving into episode 4, let's quickly recap where the first 3 episodes left off. Lydia just found out she's pregnant. After battling fear and confusion, she's decided to keep the babies. But she hasn't told Sutton yet, especially since he just got a big promotion. Meanwhile, Ruby has been focusing on organizing the charity event, and James has been there for her in a surprisingly emotional way. When the guest speaker didn't show up, James stepped in with a heartfelt speech that touched everyone, especially Ruby. For the first time, she truly believed that James was trying to change. But just as their hearts were about to meet again, Mortimer stormed in and dragged James away, shattering the fragile moment between them. Now, everything feels uncertain. In episode 4, Lydia's storyline takes center stage. Sutton starts his new job, thrilled about this big step forward, which only makes it harder for Lydia to tell him the truth. Ruby and James will encourage her to open up, reminding her that secrets can't stay hidden forever. But here's the twist. If Mortimer finds out about the pregnancy, things could spiral fast. We know how much he loves control, and he would never accept Sutton as part of the family. In the books, when Lydia fell in love with someone Mortimer disapproved of, he shipped her off to the US, even though she wasn't pregnant then. Imagine what he'll do now that she's carrying twins. I don't think the show will send her to America, but Mortimer will discover the truth before the season ends. And when he does, Lydia and Sutton's lives will be turned upside down. Meanwhile, Ruby will once again be torn about James. She saw the real him in episode 3, the vulnerable, changed version. But the way Mortimer dragged him off still haunts her. Deep down, she fears that James might never escape his father's shadow, and being with him might only bring her more pain. Episode 4 will bring a powerful confrontation between James and Mortimer. For the first time, James will truly understand how tightly his father controls him, and he'll realize he can never grow until he breaks free. In the books, this is the turning point where James leaves home to live his own life, and I believe the show will follow the same path. This episode will also likely show Ruby and James clearing up the misunderstanding about Elaine, finally putting that tension behind them. So get ready. Episode 4 is going to be packed with emotion. James versus Mortimer, a clash of power and pride. Lydia's painful secret, on the edge of exposure. Ruby's confusion, between fear and hope. Slowly but surely, Ruby and James may find their way back to each other. Their love won't be perfect, but it will be real. Episode 4 reminds us that sometimes you have to fight the people you love to protect your heart, and learn to stand alone before you can truly stand with someone else. What do you think will happen in episode 4? Drop your predictions below. Maxton Hall Season 2, Episode 4 picks up right where the tension left off. Ruby and James are finally together again, but the air between them is thick with unspoken questions and doubts that refuse to disappear. Their journey has always been a roller coaster of emotions. One moment, they are inseparable, understanding each other without words. The next, they are pulled apart by misunderstandings, outside interference, or the shadow of someone who refuses to let go. In episode 3, viewers saw James deliver a heartfelt, soul-stirring speech at the charity event, a moment that revealed his true self and the depth of the change he has undergone. Ruby felt it deeply, realizing that the man she has loved, struggled with, and doubted is finally emerging, ready to fight for what they both want. Just as they were on the brink of opening their hearts and stepping toward a future together, Mortimer, the ever-controlling, imposing figure, intervened, dragging James away and shattering the fragile moment. That moment hangs over them in episode 4, and the question on everyone's mind is simple. Can they truly be together if the force that has always controlled James is still lurking in the background? At the same time, Lydia's life remains caught in a storm of its own making. Her pregnancy has changed everything. And while she has decided to keep the twins, she hasn't yet told Sutton, who is on the brink of a new chapter in his career. His excitement and happiness about his promotion make it even harder for Lydia to reveal the truth, and she is torn between protecting her love and keeping the secret that could alter their lives forever. Ruby and James, despite their own emotional turmoil, recognize that Lydia cannot keep this hidden forever, and they will do everything they can to encourage her to face the truth. But the shadow of Mortimer looms over all of them. His obsession with control, his disapproval of anyone he perceives as unworthy, and his willingness to intervene with extreme measures means that Lydia's secret is more fragile than ever. History has shown us how far he is willing to go. In the books, when Lydia defied him in matters of love, he went to great lengths to remove obstacles, sending her across the world just to keep her away from the man she loved. Now, carrying twins, the stakes are even higher. Even if the show does not follow that exact path, it is inevitable that Mortimer will discover the truth. And when he does, it will set the stage for conflict, heartbreak, and tough decisions. Amid all of this, Ruby finds herself walking a tightrope of emotions. She has seen James's transformation, the genuine care and vulnerability that he has shown, and yet the way Mortimer still manipulates him leaves her scared. Can she trust that their love will survive the lingering shadow of control and past pain? Will opening her heart again only lead to more heartbreak? Episode 4 will dive deep into this emotional complexity, showing us that love at Maxton Hall is never simple, and happiness is always a hard-won victory. While Ruby struggles with her fears, James will begin to confront the reality of his life in a way that has never happened before. The confrontation with Mortimer will be unavoidable, intense, and transformative. James will finally realize just how much his father's influence has shaped his decisions, his emotions, and even his ability to love freely. This is a turning point for him, one that may determine not only his future with Ruby, but also his ability to live life on his own terms. Episode 4 promises a collision of hearts, wills, and secrets, where every decision carries weight, and every emotion is amplified. The reunion between Ruby and James is not just about getting back together. It's about overcoming the forces that have kept them apart for so long, facing the threats that linger in the shadows, and deciding if love is strong enough to endure even the greatest obstacles. Tension, suspense, and heartbreak will dominate this episode, but so will courage, resilience, and the small, fragile moments of hope that keep viewers glued to the screen. By the end of episode 4, we may finally see a glimpse of a path forward for Ruby and James, a chance to build something honest, imperfect, but real. The question remains, will they seize it, or will the forces around them push them apart once more? As episode 4 unfolds, the tension in Maxton Hall escalates from the very first moment, with every character stepping into new emotional territory that threatens to explode at any second. Ruby and James, finally reunited, are navigating a delicate dance between trust and fear. They are acutely aware that their love is fragile, that every word and glance could either bring them closer or push them apart again. Ruby, still haunted by how Mortimer has manipulated James in the past, struggles to fully let go of her fears. She has seen James at his most vulnerable, heard the sincerity in his voice, and yet she knows that the shadow of his father still hovers over him. This creates a tension that is almost unbearable, because even in the moments when their connection feels strongest, there is the lingering threat of heartbreak. At the same time, James is grappling with his own realization that the control his father has exerted over him has been far greater than he ever admitted to himself. In episode 4, we will see him begin to confront this truth directly, facing Mortimer in a way that is long overdue. This confrontation is not just a battle of wills, it is an emotional reckoning. James will be forced to evaluate everything he has believed about his life, his choices, and the people he can truly trust. Mortimer, with all his pride, manipulation, and obsession with maintaining control, will push James to his limits, attempting to assert dominance while reminding him of the consequences of defiance. The emotional weight of this struggle is compounded by Lydia's secret, which hangs over every interaction like a ticking time bomb. Sutton, filled with excitement about his new career, remains blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around him. Lydia, on the other hand, is trapped between protecting the happiness of the man she loves and safeguarding the future of her unborn children. The stakes are impossibly high because Mortimer's potential interference could change everything, not just for Lydia and Sutton, but for Ruby and James as well. As Ruby encourages Lydia to confront the truth, she is simultaneously confronting her own feelings about honesty, trust, and love. The episode delves deeply into the emotional complexity of standing alone while fighting for someone else's heart, showing that courage and vulnerability are inseparable. Amid all this turmoil, subtle glimmers of hope appear. Ruby and James share moments of tenderness, brief yet potent reminders of why their bond is worth fighting for. These moments, though fleeting, carry immense weight because they represent the possibility of love that has endured trials, fear, and external pressures. Episode 4 also continues to explore the dynamics of loyalty, power, and influence within the walls of Maxton Hall. Mortimer's control over his family, the fear he instills, and the decisions he attempts to force upon others are contrasted sharply with James's growing realization that liberation from that control is not just necessary, but vital for his happiness. The audience witnesses James grappling with moral dilemmas, weighing the cost of rebellion against the price of submission, all while trying to protect the woman he loves. Ruby's perspective, equally poignant, reflects the tension between hope and caution, desire and fear. She is painfully aware that love alone cannot solve everything. Timing, circumstances, and personal growth all play crucial roles. Episode 4 carefully balances the external pressures of family, societal expectations, and secrets with the internal struggles of the characters, resulting in a narrative that feels both suspenseful and emotionally authentic. By weaving together the challenges faced by Ruby, James, Lydia, and Sutton, the episode demonstrates that relationships at Maxton Hall are rarely simple. They are battles of heart, mind, and willpower, where each choice carries far-reaching consequences. Viewers are pulled into this whirlwind of emotion, eagerly anticipating the next twist, the next revelation, and the next moment where love and courage are tested to their limits. With every scene, the stakes rise higher, the suspense grows thicker, and the anticipation of what will happen next becomes almost unbearable, leaving fans on the edge of their seats, desperate to see whether Ruby and James's reunion will finally survive the relentless challenges of Maxton Hall.
Episode 4 of Maxton Hall. Season 2 continues to intensify as secrets, emotions, and unresolved tensions collide in ways that threaten to upend every character's life. Ruby and James, now finally reunited, face the harsh reality that their love is not a shield against the chaos surrounding them. It is, in fact, a fragile flame that must be carefully protected. Ruby, despite seeing the genuine change in James, cannot shake the lingering fear that his father's influence could tear them apart again. Each look, each word between them is heavy with unspoken questions. Can James truly be free of Mortimer's control? Can their love survive the weight of the expectations, secrets, and manipulations that have haunted them since the beginning? These questions loom over every interaction, creating a tension that grips the audience from the very first scene. Meanwhile, James's confrontation with Mortimer becomes the emotional centerpiece of the episode. It is not just a clash of personalities or wills, but a battle for autonomy, identity, and the right to choose one's own path. Mortimer, with his relentless need for control, uses every tactic he knows, manipulation, intimidation, and emotional leverage, in an attempt to assert dominance over James. But James is beginning to see through the web of control and to recognize that real freedom and the chance at genuine happiness can only come if he stands up to his father, regardless of the consequences. Lydia's story continues to run parallel to this tension, amplifying the stakes for everyone involved. Her pregnancy, a secret held tightly for now, creates both hope and anxiety. Sutton's excitement about his new career makes revealing the truth even more daunting. And Lydia's internal struggle reflects the very real fear of how power, love, and societal expectations can collide in ways that are difficult to navigate. Ruby and James, while focused on their own challenges, must also support Lydia in facing this reality, reminding her that courage often means confronting painful truths and making difficult decisions. This creates a multi-layered narrative where love, loyalty, and morality intersect, highlighting the intricate dynamics between the characters. At the same time, subtle moments of intimacy and understanding between Ruby and James provide a much-needed emotional anchor. These glimpses of tenderness, a lingering touch, a shared glance, a reassuring word, are small, fleeting, but carry immense emotional weight, showing that even in the midst of chaos, Love can endure and inspire courage. The episode also emphasizes the complexity of choice and consequence. Every decision made by the characters, whether to speak the truth, confront authority, or open their hearts, carries potential repercussions that ripple through the story. Mortimer's looming presence serves as a constant reminder that power and control can overshadow even the strongest bonds, forcing the characters to navigate a delicate balance between submission and rebellion. By focusing on these intersecting tensions, Episode 4 elevates the stakes for Ruby, James, Lydia, and Sutton, keeping viewers emotionally invested and on edge. The writing ensures that suspense is maintained throughout, weaving together romance, conflict, and drama in a way that is easy to follow but impossible to predict. Fans are left wondering not only if Ruby and James can overcome their fears and finally be together, but also how Lydia will manage the secret that has the potential to disrupt multiple lives. Every scene, every dialogue, and every pause is charged with anticipation, creating an immersive experience where the audience feels the anxiety, hope, and exhilaration of the characters. As Episode 4 progresses, it becomes clear that Maxton Hall is not just a story about love or romance. It is a story about resilience, courage, and the lengths people will go to protect their hearts, their families, and their dreams. The reunion of Ruby and James is not just a romantic milestone. It is a test of their emotional strength, a challenge that will reveal whether their love can survive the trials that Maxton Hall inevitably throws their way. Tension, drama, and the constant interplay of hope and fear make this episode an unforgettable chapter, keeping viewers glued to every moment as the story unfolds, one shocking revelation and one tender heartbeat at a time. And as the storm around Maxton Hall begins to calm, what lies beneath the silence is far more dangerous than anyone can imagine. James finally begins to understand that love isn't just about holding on, it's about fighting for the right to choose your own happiness. His confrontation with Mortimer leaves deep cracks in the family's perfect image, and those cracks begin to spread fast. Mortimer may have power, but James now has something stronger, the will to stand up for himself and for Ruby. Meanwhile, Ruby feels the weight of every choice pressing down on her heart. She wants to believe in James, to trust the man she saw that night at the charity event, the man who stood tall and spoke from his soul. But fear still lingers. Every time she lets her guard down, something or someone pulls them apart. In Episode 4, this fear reaches its breaking point. Ruby and James will finally face the truth about what they mean to each other. The moment they meet again will not be soft or gentle. It will be raw, emotional, and real. Years of pain, confusion, and love will burst out like a wave, and this time, neither of them can hide behind pride or fear. Lydia's secret will also begin to unravel, adding another layer of tension. Her silence can no longer protect her, and Sutton's happiness stands on the edge of collapse. Once Mortimer learns about the pregnancy, everything will spiral. His obsession with control will push him to cross a line he can never come back from. Episode 4 will show us that Maxton Hall isn't just about privilege. It's about people trapped in the expectations of others, struggling to find freedom. The reunion between Ruby and James will be a turning point. It will remind them, and all of us, that love isn't perfect. It's messy, painful, and sometimes terrifying, but it's also the only thing powerful enough to break chains that have held them both captive for too long. By the end of the episode, we'll be left on the edge of our seats, wondering not if Ruby and James can stay together, but whether their love can survive the damage already done. The shadows of Mortimer's influence, Lydia's truth, and the ghosts of their own choices will shape what comes next. Maxton Hall has never been this intense, and Episode 4 will make sure we remember that sometimes the most beautiful reunions come with the deepest scars.